Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch video here today to talk about Sojourn. Maybe not a character that's been on your radar in a while. Yeah, she's had a lot of changes and ain't as strong as she used to be, but she's the answer right now. She's the truth. Alright, just real quick, we're gonna take down 1. We're gonna take down 2. We're gonna take down 3. We're gonna take down 4. The hyper aggression of Sojourn is been a saving grace for me this season. By the way, somehow that's not play of the game. Someone gets a triple kill with an ultimate, and somehow that's better than a quad without an ult. Who knows how that stuff works out. But yeah, I would say, because I've been playing a bit of DPS this past season and a half or so, which I know isn't super like me, but I like to play all the characters. What can I say? But DPS, I feel like we're in a weird spot right now with DPS, and I'll probably cover this in a completely different video just to talk about that. But I've found that we don't have a ton of choices. I feel like, especially like consistency wise across a myriad of game modes and maps, to where like I felt like I just kept playing Ashe over and over again. And sometimes it's like, oh, you know, maybe I'll play Cassidy to deal with this threat, or, you know, poking with Soldier is always good. You're always going to get multiple kills out of his ultimate, and, you know, sometimes be like, okay, Venture's good here, or Pharah's good here, as long as they don't hard counter me. And some of that can be fine and dandy, but Sojourn, she's the queen right now, I gotta say. I know she's not lighting up everyone's scoreboard. She doesn't have one of the better win rates in the game across like any of the ranks right now. She was like bottom 2 before the buffs that she got 2 patches ago, and now she's gone up like 3, 4, sometimes I think 5 spots, so kind of towards the bottom side of mid, but still an improvement, and I'm really liking it. So she got a bunch of buffs 2 patches ago, and they felt like that was too strong, I guess, even though, you know, her numbers really didn't move all that much. And so they nerfed a couple of things, like no longer gaining railgun charge off of your the ball that you shoot. Forget what it's called, the little sphere that used to do CC and damage, and now it just does damage and doesn't charge your railgun anymore. So Sojourn, obviously, yeah, too strong when she came out. There was a few characters like that, and you know, the devs have said that they want a new character to launch on the strong side of good, you know, and then adjust accordingly, which they've done. I feel like most characters have been strong when they first came out, and then they end up nerfing them a lot. In most cases, those characters don't actually retain being good a year later or 6 months later, whenever they get that first big nerf, or the second nerf when the first one wasn't enough. Kiriko being a prime example of that, being the worst healer at every single rank right now. But yeah, Sojourn, when she first came out, like, I had a couple videos out on her, obviously, where I was getting, you know, 50 plus kills with pretty good consistently and dominating, and the power of the railgun and the ult and one-shotting is like, you know, why play Hanzo, why play Widowmaker when you can one-shot with the railgun, right? And so, of course, they took power away from that railgun, but that made her an absolutely useless character for almost all of last year, if not all of last year. I don't, you know, have in my mind like exactly what changes were made in which patch, but Sojourn for last year was bottom 2. Obviously, Hanzo was always the worst, and I think probably always will be now. But yeah, she was bottom 2 at I think every single rank or close to it. And then they gave her a bunch of buffs, and then, you know, took away some of those buffs, and now I feel like she's in a good spot. Right, you know, you can't say that, oh, she's definitely a top pick or whatever. I don't know what the pros are playing. The pro scene seems to be not super active right now, at least from what I've seen. But I think Sojourn, she's seen an uptick. You know, she's no longer bottom 2 at like a, you know, 45 or 46%, but no, she's hitting 47, 48's out there. depending on what rank you might be in. But I think she's just a really good answer for whatever you got going on against any comp on any map. I think she's great. The hyper aggression is back because right now, every character that you play aggressively that isn't Genji is super weak right now. Super weak. Tracer, Echo, Sombra, like, high-key dominates every game I see her in, but overall she's not doing super well. But obviously Genji is always doing really well. And I pinged that trap, and I just... people never listen, especially when it comes to Junkrat traps, something that everyone should have known for the past 6 years to avoid, especially when a teammate tells them where it is. But anyways, at least my tank ran on it and didn't die instantly. I just feel like Sojourn is such a great pick right now. She's great with dive, with, Doomfist. She's great with Wrecking Ball. She's great. She doesn't get dove on super easily because of that slide. Her slide is my favorite part of her kit, to be completely honest. But, they all have really great use. Obviously, the railgun is where you're going to get a big portion of your final kills, your damage, and obviously, your ultimate is just railgunning away. But you can't really, solo kill very much with Sojourn anymore, unless you can catch somebody by surprise, do a bunch of shots like that Torbjorn there. I think that might be the only solo kill in this game. I don't really remember. But unless you can get right up on somebody to get, a decent amount of shots at them before they can even shoot at you first, and then finish them off with a railgun, usually with a headshot, since you're probably not getting full charge before they start answering firepower back at you. So yeah, she's no longer has that identity as the one-shot kill character that's just better at doing everything than all the other high-powered, burst DPS characters. But she's back to being a railgun character, because before it was just completely useless. It didn't have any power. You weren't getting kills unless you were getting pocketed with your ultimate with a Mercy. Then it could still pop off, and I think still might be, or at least now is back to being, I think, the best ultimate while getting pocketed by a Mercy. I'm still popping off and getting quads fairly nicely with the one time I've had a pocket Mercy. It almost never happens, but when I do get it, it feels good. It feels super duper strong, and when you go up against it, it feels a little bit too strong because it's happening to you, right? But I feel like she's great. She works with everything. With dive, she can go up with you or start off strong and then escape, and that's fantastic. That's why I love the power slide, the ability to exit out of a fight really quickly once you got that damage. Maybe you got the kill, or maybe you just got them low enough to where your dive tank, your Doomfist, your Winston, your Wrecking Ball can then jump on and capitalize on that weakness, and that's great. And then I can slide away and just be doing fine. But if you're playing something slow, she's also great because she's somewhat of a threat at range. Her primary fire is not going to do a ton of damage at range, but if you get that charged railgun, you're at a choke. Everyone's kind of firing at each other. You both have slow shield teams, shields up. She can get a pick with more consistency and quickness than, say, like even an Ashe or a Cassidy can right now. And I think that's great. But also she's good against any sort of team comp that you roll out, because she's not going to be super easily dove like a Soldier can, like a Cassidy can, like a Symmetra can be. Torb's got some armor to help deal with things. Just speaking of characters that are doing super well, she's not going to have a great job against Genji, but she can threaten him. You have to worry about getting your giant ball deflected by him. That's something you definitely don't want to do. But she can still headshot him. I've stopped a couple of Genjis ulting by getting just enough with a little bit of help from a teammate and getting that headshot to secure the kill. Unfortunately, the Doom is able to slam me back down to earth there, but he pays for it with his life. And Sojourn is great against Reinhardt. We all know how great Reinhardt has been the past year because of the damage that ball can do up against that shield. He's trying to hold that shield, right? And while, you could try to whittle it down with a Junkrat or a Bastion or a Soldier or something, a lot of the times they're not going to be enough. While in the meantime, Sojourn can shoot out that ball and do damage on it as well as anybody through it, right? You're going to do damage to the Reinhardt as well as Reinhardt shield. You're going to be gaining rail charge off of shooting it with your primary. And then once he lowers it, you can, boom, ping him down. Might be weak enough for someone else to finish off or hit some squishy that's standing behind him. She's just great against and with everything. You take a look at what's strong right now when it comes to the other DPS, right? You don't want to play close quarters against like a Reaper or a Symmetra or something like that, right? But if she has all her turrets clumped up together, you know where they are. Even if you don't like have a direct line of sight on them completely, the ball can still be enough to destroy them. And Torbjorn, we know, has been kicking ass the past year. He's one of the best throughout most of the ranks, if not all. If you're, within, 50, 60 feet or whatever of that turret, just shoot the ball out. It's going to take care of it. Or, if you want to make sure you take care of it quickly, just a little bit of primary fire, and it's donezo. So you can eliminate a lot where, you would usually have to okay, Hanzo's good against, a choke that has a Torb turret behind it. But Hanzo's terrible right now and probably always will be. Ashe, has that long range poke, but if the Torb's in the back hammering away, Ashe will never be able to touch him. Whereas Sojourn, you can use that slide to get to a high ground, to go over the shield, to shoot up and destroy that turret before your tank is even really much in trouble. Whether it's, initiator dive tank or, a slow tank or something with the shield, you can really, really help with those situations by taking care of the Torb turret before it becomes an issue. And she can deal with any mobile heroes that are flying or dashing around because she can slide away. She can headshot at a good range, get something weak, or kill it completely by herself. And while her ultimate isn't always going to pop off, it's still, has a really, really high ceiling in what you're able to do with it. It's a high impact ult, and as long as you have something to shoot at, you're going to do well. It's going to pierce through people and shields, which, you don't want to just throw everything into a shield and do all your damage to that. You want to, get a lot of kills on it. But, people coming at you with Doomfists, with Wrecking Balls, or maybe they're coming at you with the new tank. She's not going to be easily dove. She's not super vulnerable up close because, the big spread. She's going to do some damage with her primary fire and maybe get enough to, whip out that head rail shot at, 60, 80%. And if you get the headshot, that's going to be enough. So she can be aggressive with aggression, or she can be aggressive even if the rest of your team is really slow. You can be, the first line of, an offensive defense, if you will. The best, offense is a good defense, but the best defense could be a really good offense sometimes. And I can just play in a super aggressive role here, even on defense, and just be up at this choke, being ready to, whittle down anything that's weak, anything that the Sombra hacks with the Mercy pocketing me. And if this Doom tries to jump at me, or this, Junkrat, boom, I dive away, I slide away, everything's fine. I can get healed up, get ready to kill anything weak, and, everything's gravy after that. This enemy team just can't deal with the aggression of the Sombra and the Doomfist and the Sojourn. And with a Mercy, forget about it. They're also playing Doomfist, so, their coordination or team comp isn't going to be as effective as this. They're going to have to wait for someone to be out of position, someone to get a good pick, like maybe this Junkrat getting the kill, but he dies for that. And I got my ultimates. Our Doomfist is ulting. Doesn't exactly hit the Mei at the perfectly right time, but I'm going to clean her up. They're going to try to make a switch to a different, slower tank, but it's just going to be more of the same story. He's going to get hacked, he's going to get exploded, and everything's going to be great. So Sojourn really has been the answer for me. I've been killing it with her so far this season. I'm winning more than double of what I'm losing with her. Obviously you can't win them all, but if you are, being like, usually I try to play Cassidy or Soldier 76, or, maybe your main or character isn't really good in a lot of situations like Pharah, or they're just not very good right now, like Tracer or Hanzo, or Cassidy. Things just aren't working for you, or you don't have a great matchup as Reaper or with Echo. Guys, go back to Sojourn. I'm sure we all tried her out at some point and she was really strong, and then she got super duper weak. Well, now I think she's in a really good spot in between strong and weak, to where, like, I don't feel like they need to mess with her anymore. She's on the lower side of win rate, which I think will start to creep up more and more as more people start to learn, like, guys, she's actually good again. Go back to playing Sojourn. But I don't think it'll be too much to where they're going to nerf another one of her buffs, because like they already did that really quickly. The last patch nerfed one of her buffs from 2 patches ago, and nobody's really talking about her. Nobody's really paying attention to her. And yeah, you're not going to get a lot of solo kills with her like you could before with the sheer power of her railgun. But her primary fire is actually stronger than it was before, because they were trying to make up with all of the nerfs that they did. And sure, you're not getting charge off of your kinetic energy balls you did, for the month that the last patch was out, but you weren't really used to that anyway. And her ult can definitely swing a fight very easily. Sure, not so much there, but we had this game wrapped up and I was just throwing everything at them. Some people can't handle big aggression because most of the other high aggression characters aren't very good right now, or they are not consistent. And as a Sojourn, especially with like really tough chokes, talking about like Blizzard World Point A, or maybe going up against anything with a high ground, she can jump up to it, shoot the ball, and that's enough to scare them away. Do enough damage to where your other DPS or tank or support maybe gets a stray bullet in there and can get that kill, and then boom, you're off to the races. Sojourn can do that for you, to where no other character I feel like can consistently do that as much in the current status that we're in. But it speaks for itself. 43 kills, 13k damage, leading the lobby in both. She's strong, she's fast, she works with everything, and she's kind of good against everything as well. She's never going to be as strong as she was before, but guys, go back to her and you will be pleasantly surprised that she fills holes that are pretty big right now. Phrasing.